It was another peaceful morning when you decided to step out and take care of your front yard. You hummed a soft melody as you engaged in watering the plants and grooming the grass. I wish life could be this peaceful. You sighed, your mind clouding with unwanted thoughts, but then your attention diverted to the commotion happening in front of the house next to yours. There was a truck parked in the driveway, and a bunch of helpers were moving stuff inside the house. Seems like someone moved in there. Your curiosity piqued, and you tried to see who was going to be your new neighbor, but you couldn't spot anyone other than those helpers. You sighed, averting your attention back to your task, though you still wondered about your new neighbor. Be careful with this box. It should be handled with utter gentleness. You had shot up, hearing that awfully familiar voice. Your eyes desperately raked through the crowd. You knew it was him. You could misheard anything but his voice. However, when you found him nowhere, you let out a huge sigh, rebuking yourself mentally. Hold your horses, Kim. Don't behave like a pathetic teenager. Remember what happened last time. Hey, pretty lady, you whipped around, your gaze meeting a pair of sparkling brown eyes. You were right, it was him. You had heard his voice a while ago. There, dressed in a pristine white shirt with black trousers, stood Park Jimin, aka your boss, aka your father's French son. His shirt sleeves were rolled up to his elbow, revealing his veiny arms. An expensive watch shone brightly on his wrist. He complemented the overall look with his signature Chelsea boots, and oh boy, how handsome he looked. He cleared his throat, bringing you back to reality. His lips twitched into a teasing smirk, which made you glare at him. Well, take a picture. I can give you a sexy pose if you want. Shut up. You narrowed your eyes at him for a moment before flickering your gaze at the flower plants. You heard his breathy chuckle before you felt him approaching near. I am your new neighbor, by the way. He murmured, his hand reaching to pluck a fully bloomed rose, but you slapped his hand away, darting a glare at him. Raised his hand in surrender. Why? Uncle Auntie kicked you out of the house. He laughed softly, shaking his head, his eyes shining with playful amusement. Fortunately, no. I decided to move out. I mean, first of all, I'm an adult. I need some privacy. Besides, my heart feels restless there. His voice dropped to a mere whisper at the end. You tilted your head, your eyes locked with his. Something flickered in his gaze, familiar and frightening, which made you look away. Silence filled the air around you two, tense and heavy with emotions. Jimin decided to break the silence, unable to bear the tension. Is she still sleeping? You nodded and watched his expression falling. Oh, when will she wake up? An hour later, but why are you asking? You frowned, looking up at his sad face. Nothing. I thought maybe I could play with her for a while before leaving for work. But it's fine if she is sleeping. Anyway, see you around. He turned on his heels and made his way towards his house. Are you sure you moved in here just because you want privacy? You asked before you could second guess yourself. His feet froze and he slowly turned around, looking at you with a smile which expressed everything yet said nothing. Yes, what do you think the other reason could be? You knew it was a cue to step back. He was good with words, and you knew he would make you say something out loud that shouldn't even be expressed between four walls. See you in the office. You headed back inside the house without looking back, while James smiled to himself. Pressing your back against the door, you took a deep breath. You heard thumping wildly in your chest. Your gaze wandered over to your 9-month-old daughter, Miri, who was peacefully sleeping in her crib. Stepping closer, you crouched down, watching her silently. He's here, baby. I know he shifted here because of us, but I don't know how to feel about this. I don't want to relive the same life again and end up with a broken heart. I might have gone through it once, but now that you are here with me, I would think 1,000 times before taking any such decision. It all started when you found out that you were pregnant with your then boyfriend Daniel's child. You were happy, ecstatic even, but your happiness didn't last long when you found out that he had been betraying you. When you were dreaming of forever with him, he was bedding other women. How easy was it for him to play with your feelings and disrespect the love you had for him? You were heartbroken and depressed to the level that you even decided to go for an abortion, but you couldn't bring yourself to end the life that was being created with your flesh and blood. Unable to bear the load of miseries, you turned up to your parents. Fortunately, they stood beside you as a firm support. They helped you in moving cities and secured a job for you as well. You joined the company as a CFO, and there you met Jimin. You caught his eyes at the first sight. Initially, he was impressed by your skills, but later, he found himself catching feelings for you. He tried to hold himself back, aware of your past, but feelings were not something anyone had control over. The initial spark didn't take long to turn into an intense fire, and when fire intensifies, it is almost impossible to control it. He accompanied you to your regular checkups, making an excuse that he was taking care of you because your parents had asked him to. With time, it not only felt harder for you but also built a strong connection with your unborn child. When he confessed with that utter sincerity and determination, you got scared. The past wounds ran deep, and with pregnancy taking an emotional toll on your mind, you were devastated. You turned your back on him, ignored him, and even stopped going to the office. Still, he remained true to his feelings. He promised he would always be there for you, and he proved it. He was at your doorstep in the middle of the night at one call. He took you to the hospital, stayed beside you during labor. He was the first one to hold your daughter, the person who took care of you and me during the fortnight stay in the hospital and even after that. He is selflessly giving everything without expecting anything in return. But your mama is not strong enough for a commitment. He deserves so much better. Maybe he'll get tired one day and stop trying. And I wish that day comes soon before it's too late. You wiped your tears, looking out of the window at Jimin. Good morning. Jimin buzzed inside your cabin, a wide smile on his face. But as he raked his gaze around, his smile slowly disappeared. Mire, where is Mire? He asked, stepping closer to your desk. You sighed, lifting your gaze to his face. Home, he cut you off. What? How can you leave such a small kid at home alone? Why? With a nanny, you interrupted and watched his expression shift. His eyes zeroed at you, disbelief marring his face. You knew what was coming next. Nanny? Why don't I know about this nanny? Did you do a background check on her? Leave everything. How can you trust a complete stranger with Miri? Now I'm bringing her here. As he turned around to leave, you jolted up and held his arm. Are you insane? I'm her mother and I know what I'm doing. You can't just cross my words and decide for my daughter. Hurt washed over Jimin's expression and your chest tightened with guilt, but you didn't let it show on your face. Gossip and rumors were circulating in the office. People were giving you looks. Maybe Jimin did notice or care to give them attention, but you were affected. You wanted to put an end to it, and the first step was to keep Jimin away from Miri. But it was difficult. The first time you attempted to do so, Miri fell sick, and you had to call Jimin. You need to focus on your life, Jimin. You can't waste your entire life after us. I can. He interrupted and tugged you closer so that your front collided with his. I love you, Ryan, and when I say it, I mean I love everything about you or related to you. Your happiness, sorrow, pain, everything is mine as much as yours. I know you are not ready for a commitment. I'm not forcing you for one either, but he paused, tucking your loose tresses behind your ear. You stared up at him in daze. You can stop me from loving you, alright? I said I'd wait forever if that's what it takes for you to accept me. It's either you or no one. Your heart skipped a beat. Hands clenched at your sides as nervousness filled within. Also, you have every right to make decisions for Mire. You are her mother after all, but I too can meddle in between. At least I have earned that much right now. You were lost for words. He stared at you for a moment and then dashed out of the cabin. You stared at the closed door, your vision blurring with the unshed tears. You are making it difficult for me, Jimin. I'm coming to get you. Miri squealed and crawled across the living area as Jimin chased her, their giggles filling the space. You smiled, glancing at them. You were brewing coffee for Jimin and yourself while he played with Miri. About the nanny, she quit within 3 days because Jimin wouldn't stop being a pain in the. He wouldn't cease being overprotective. She eventually got annoyed and decided to put an end to the job. Do you also love me? Because I love you a lot. He peppered kisses all over her face, eliciting a loud laughter from the little girl. You looked at them, your smile widening. You couldn't stop adoring their bond, but at the same time you were scared inside. Though he claimed to be with you forever, you feared one day he would realize what he had been losing and would walk away, and Miri would be left heartbroken. Miri, calm down. You carefully held her as she bounced in your arms. Rang the doorbell and she clapped her hands excitedly. She had been creating a fuss since morning and now she was all giddy and excited to see her favorite person. A few moments later, the door slightly opened and Jimin peeked his head outside so that only his eyes were visible. Hey, I'm sorry to disturb you early morning, but Miri. You were cut off by his loud cough. Are you okay? You asked, brows furrowing in concern. Yeah, just feeling a little out of the weather. Go back or you both will get sick. He was about to close the door, but you held it, restraining him from doing so. I am coming inside. You need someone by your side now. But, however, you were already walking inside the living room. He sighed and followed you after closing the door. You put Miri down on the living room carpet and made your way towards the kitchen to make him some food. Jimin settled back on the couch, covering himself with a blanket. Miri smiled and cooed at him, thinking he would pick her up, but Jimin looked away with a heavy heart. Miri crawled towards him and tugged at his sweatpants to gain his attention. Jimin glanced at her once and found her smiling at him. His heart swelled with overwhelming affection for her, but he had to keep her away or else she would get sick. I'm sorry, baby. Mary's face saddened when he looked away again. Her chin quivered and soon tears rolled down her cheeks. She burst into loud cries. Hearing her, you rushed out of the kitchen and picked her up. You tried to calm her down, but she kept crying, looking at Jimin, whose head was hung low. Jimin, he slowly lifted his face. You were taken aback when you saw tears rolling down her cheeks. He sniffed and looked away, wiping his tears. I can't bear her tears. Please take her away. I can manage. You didn't know what to reply. Watching him cry for Mira shifted something in your heart. For the first time, you felt the urge to hold him close and never let go. Go to your room. I'll bring food and medicine for you. And don't worry, I and Miri are not leaving. You gave him a small smile. He took one last look at Miri and headed to his room. You walked inside, holding Miri in your arms. Jimin looked up from his laptop screen and a wide smile curving on his lips. I am sorry for barging inside, but you left the door open and I. Don't bother about it. He waved it off and stood in front of you. He chuckled when Miri couldn't stop giggling at him. She bounced in your arms, making grabby hands towards him. Jimin, you know I have to leave for a business meeting, so can you? I will take care of my cutie princess. You can go without any worry. He spoke, finally holding Miri, who was trying to be held by him. Are you sure you don't have? Go and bring her stuff. He took her to the couch. You sighed and went back to bring her stuff. When he returned with her stuff, the sight made her heart swell. Jimin was sitting on the floor, his back pressed against the couch, and his laptop was placed on his lap. Miri was lying on her stomach on the couch, her head fitting perfectly in the crooks of his neck. Her attention was on what Jimin was saying. That's how you prepare a report, okay? There are a lot of things you need to learn before becoming a CEO. The first thing is confidence. Even if you lie with confidence. Be intimidating. Impose your dominance. Use your power wisely, okay? Mire cooled, as if she understood everything he said. Shall we move to the next step? I'm gonna explain my recent project to you. Let me know what are your opinions on it, okay? She blabbered something in a baby language. You couldn't hold yourself from laughing. Their head turned to you in unison. You're explaining as if she understands everything. Jimin's eyes narrowed at you in distaste. She does. I can hand over my entire business to her tomorrow and go on a long vacation. She's smart enough to handle the country's economy. A company isn't a big deal, right, my baby? Mira grinned at Jimin, whose lips twitched into a proud smirk. Fine, fine, you both won. You put the bag on the couch which had Mary's essentials and crouched in front of her. You kissed her forehead, kissing her head lovingly. I'll be back really quick, okay? You pulled back and your gaze met Gemma's anticipated ones. He stared at you with longing. You looked away, unable to bear the intensity of his gaze. Take care. You too, have a safe journey and do let me know when you reach there. You nodded and turned around to leave. You sank onto the bed after taking a shower. You had a long day, occupied with meetings. Besides, Miriam was on your mind all the time. You had texted Jimin throughout the day, asking about her time and again. She was happy with him and didn't seem to be much affected by your absence. You didn't know if you should be happy or sad about it. Shrugging off your thoughts, you reached for your phone and called Jimin. You switched it to a video call. A few rings later, Jimin's smiling face graced the screen. Hey, how was the meeting? Are you comfortable there? He bombarded a series of questions. You sighed and gave a small nodded response. Then, you noticed a different background. He wasn't in his apartment. You are not home? Where is Miri? Let me show you. You watched as he settled his phone somewhere and stepped back. The camera focused on a space filled with different toys. It didn't take long for you to recognize that it was Jimin's parents' home. Amidst the toys stood Jimin's parents and Jimin. Miri was proudly sitting on his father's shoulders. The funniest thing was all three of them were dressed in different oneshis, while Miri was wearing a pale blue Cinderella dress, a sparkling tiara gracing her forehead. What is happening there? We are just playing. We are the commoners, and she is our fairy princess. A strange feeling surged in your heart, which intensified hearing Miri's happy giggles. Ryan, how are you? Have you had your dinner? You swallowed a huge lump and nodded slightly. Then you watched them, playing with Miri with a childlike excitement. It was the kind of family you had anticipated for your daughter, and Jimin was the one providing it to her. You wondered what it would feel like to be a part of it, to partake in their play, to laugh and to cry together. Your gaze flickered to Jimin, who looked the happiest, and all of a sudden, loving someone again didn't seem as painful as before. It's been so long since we all sat together to have dinner, especially since you decided to move out all of a sudden. Jimin just smiled, quietly eating the food. You should have brought Wine and Miri along. It would be more fun with them. I wanted to dad, but Wine returned in the evening. She was tired and she wanted to be with me as she missed her. Maybe some other time. They went quiet after that and focused on their food, but then Jimin's father suddenly remembered something. Jimin, Wine was asking if she could join her company overseas. Tell her that she can start packing a shift there till next month. I'll handle the rest. Jimin froze, his grip on the chopsticks tightened. What? Move overseas? He whispered, his voice sharp and tinged with betrayal. Yeah, the new project is coming up, and I'm sure Ryan will ace it. Everything fell deaf to his ears after that. His heart clenched. Joe tightened his anger. He felt betrayed, humiliated even. After what you both had been through together, wouldn't even feel a need to at least inform him about it? Tears rolled down your cheeks as you pressed the doorbell of Jimin's house. It was almost midnight and Miri was nowhere to be found. You just went to take a quick shower, but when you returned, Miri wasn't there. You thought Jimin took her, but he would have informed you beforehand. Then where was she? The door opened and Jimin stood at the threshold, his expression stoic hard. Jimin, Miri, I can't find her. She's not in the house. You broke into cries, but he remained rooted to his spot, his cold expression unwavering. She is with me, he replied monotonously. Relief washed over you, but it only lasted for a moment before your face contorted with anger. Are you mad? Do you know how scared I was? You should have informed me before taking her. Now move aside, I'm taking her back. But he didn't. He remained firm on his spot, restraining you from walking inside. What is wrong with you? Move aside. I want my daughter back. No, I'm not giving her back to you. You blinked up at him in disbelief, wondering what had gotten into him. You're behaving absurdly, Jimin. Give my daughter back. You stated sternly. His composure wavered. He grabbed your wrist and pulled you inside. Give her back to you so you can take her away from me, right? He snapped, the rim of his eyes burning with the unshed tears. You blinked, taken aback by the sudden outburst. You are planning to move overseas and didn't even bother to tell me? Not even as a friend? Do I not matter to you? Not even slightly? Now everything made sense to you. He knew. Mire, she falls sick if she stays away from me for more than a day. Would she live without me? And his voice broke. The tears that he had been holding rolled down his cheeks. If you have nurtured her with your flesh and blood, then I nurtured her with my heart. I don't care what you say, but Mire is my daughter too. She was tiny, pink creature, wailing loudly when I first held her in my arms. At that moment, I took an oath to protect her with my everything, and you are taking her away from me? Not fair. Your own eyes welled up when he sobbed loudly. Every painful cry of his directly stabbed your heart. I love you, Ryan. I do not expect anything in return. Doesn't mean you'll empty me whole, and I won't even complain. You swallowed and stepped back forward. You had reached out to hold his, but he refused. I know I am being unreasonable, overly possessive, but I have no right to stop you, but it hurts. My heart is not strong enough to handle the separation from you both. His teary, longing eyes met yours as if pleading with you to do something, anything to cure the ache in his heart, but you made no move. You couldn't. He harshly wiped his tears and turned around, his back facing you. Take her. She is in the room. I'm sorry for taking your daughter. His words hurt deeper. He always said our daughter, our princess, or Miri. When he said your daughter, it didn't settle well with you. You took a step towards him and then another, and wrapped your arms around him from behind, pressing your cheeks on the broad of his back. He stiffened, his breath hitching in his throat. Then, within the blink of an eye, he spun around and hugged you, burying his face in the crook of your neck. A loud sob roared from his throat that muffled against your skin. Don't go, please, don't leave me. I can't live without you and Mary. Your fingers glided through his hair as you tightened the hug. His body trembled with every sob. Your own tears betrayed you and slipped down your eyes. I'm not leaving, I'm not. I changed my mind a long time ago. I and Mary are not going anywhere. Stop crying, please. He broke the hug, hands traveling up to cradle your face, forehead pressing against yours. Give me a chance, please. Give me a heart, and I swear on my life I'll keep it safe. I choose to fall apart before doing any harm to you, please. There was no hesitation, no stepping back when he nodded vigorously. You had made him wait enough. He had proved himself more than necessary. There was nothing holding you back anymore, not even the wounds of past. His love healed them all. I love you a lot. You jumped in his arms. He picked you up and twirled you around as happiness seeped through his nerves. It was a moment he dreamed about often. Now that it had finally happened, he couldn't contain his joy. Is this what it means when people say dreams come true? Do this feel so overwhelming, so over the moon feeling? The moment was interrupted by Mary's giggles and excited claps. You both stopped and craned your necks towards her. Her eyes were wide with delight, staring up at you two with pure love. Jimin was quick to pick her up. He twirled her in the air, laughing along with her. Mire, my princess, you are officially mine, my daughter. As you stood there, watching him cradling her close to his heart, you realized this was what destiny had planned for you. You lost the boy you loved to find a man who loves you. The man who held you when you were falling apart, gathered your pieces and put them back in their places, more beautifully than before. A knight in shining armor and a sweet father to your daughter.